Hi everybody, Candy Hargrove here with some more tips on making blocks for my new pattern, Let's Play with Friends. Today we're going to look at the hourglass block, which is right here. And as you can see in this section of the quilt, there are 4 hourglass blocks, 2 of one fabric combination and 2 of another, that are joined with sashing and cornerstones to make this section here. So I'm going to show you how I do it, how I square them up, and the tools that I use for that process. Come into the sewing machine. You can make 2 hourglass blocks from 2 squares of fabric. And these are the squares I'm going to use today. These are kind of big squares, and you might want to be inclined to pin them, but what I do is just press them like that, and they'll stick together pretty well. Before I sew them, and we're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side of this line that I drew down the middle. And essentially, an hourglass block is made up of 4 1/4 square triangles. And to achieve a 1/4 square triangle, there's a formula if you're cutting out 1 square of fabric. Your square would be cut the size of your finished block, and in this case, it's 4.5 inches, plus 1 1/4 inches. And if you've watched the other videos, you know that I like to size everything up like this, about 1/8 of an inch, so I can square it up. We're going to cut these squares 5 7/8. And this is how I get to 5 7/8. You start with the finished size of the block, which is 4.5 inches, plus 1 1/4 inches. That's the half square triangle, and the 1/4 square triangle formula. And that equals 5 3/4. And I'm going to add another 1/8 of an inch, and that's 5 7/8. So I've got 2 squares here, 5 7/8, and I'm going to sew on either side of this line I drew. We're going to power through this here. This is just a habit I have. I cut that leading thread off. I don't have to do it later. You've got a little leeway here. You know, try to be as accurate and straight as possible and not wave around so much. But since you're going to square up, that gives you a little wiggle room here. Okay, so I've done that. And we're going to cut here. Before I cut it, I'm going to pull this back so you can see it's what we're achieving right now is 2 half square triangles. All right? So I'm going to cut it down the middle. This ruler. All right, now we're going to press to the dark. Okay, so this is what you've got now, 2 half square triangles. So now we're going to put these 2 together with the fabrics in the opposite positions. So this is going to be on the other side of this, and likewise here. So put them together, try to line them up as best you can, and then kind of, you want those seams to butt up together. You can feel it. And now we're going to draw another line. Going to line up the points. And sew 1/4 inch on either side, just like we do for half square triangles. So now this is what we have. I'm going to pull this back so you can see the hourglass block that we've created. See? And we're going to have 2 of these, and that's exactly what we need, 2 of the same color combination. So we'll cut between this, just like for half square triangles, and press. Okay, there you go. So now we need to square these up so they're going to be the right size. Now remember, the finished size of these hourglass blocks is 4.5. So right now we need to trim them up to 5 inches. And here's a tool that you may have, and it's specifically for squaring up half square triangles and quarter square triangles. And it's called the Tucker Trimmer. You may have this, you may have seen it at a demo somewhere sometime and bought it and never used it. That's what I do. But I dug this out, and be sure to read the directions. And there's specific instructions for if you're cutting for a whole number or a ½ inch number. And remember, I said we're going to be cutting these at this point 5 inches, trimming it up to 5 inches. So we're going to be using these solid lines. If you wanted a 4-inch finished quarter square triangle, you'd be squaring them up to 4.5, and you'd be using these dotted lines. Okay. So get it going the right way here, and line up this diagonal line with your seam. And there's actually 2 lines you can line up with. And remember, I said they're going to be 5 inches at this point, so when you start trimming, make sure you've got some fabric hanging over the 5-inch mark all the way around. If I'm not careful, I'm going to burn myself with this iron, so I'm going to put it right there. And turn it around and do the same thing. There you go. There's your hourglass block, the perfect size that you need for this block. Now, if you don't have a ruler like that, and all of us have something like this, you can also use this ruler to square it up. Again, line up this diagonal line with your seam line. The advantage of the other ruler is that you've got another line here you can line up with, but you have some fabric hanging over the edge of the 5-inch mark. And now line up with your 5-inch mark on the ruler. There you go. Let me get a good cut on that. So this would be half of the hourglass blocks that you would need to make the block for the block in Let's Play with Friends. Now, if you are making this and you have any questions about it, you can always shoot me an email and I can help answer any questions you have. My email address is cahquilter@kc.rr.com.